Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Let's Give It a Voice here at the Voice of Hope Media with myself, MBENG. Today, we are giving a voice to a very important topic, a topic which many may not have heard about it, and a topic where those who are aware still get it wrong sometimes. Today, we are discussing bipolar disorder through my eyes, my bipolar journey. You are joined today by two very important guest speakers, and they are all from Kenya, all the way from Nairobi, I think. So let's welcome Christine Miloyo and Geoffrey Muthike in our midst today. I must say I am particularly excited to hear from them today because this is going to be one of the episodes where we learn as well as we unlearn. So guys, let's hear it from our guest speakers. And if you're tuned on today, you are watching live on Facebook, and also you are watching live on our YouTube channel from the Voice of Hope Media YouTube channel. You're all welcome. And like I said, we are going to learn and we are going to unlearn today. So you invite your friends, your families, and everyone you know to join in today. You share the broadcast because we will obviously learn one thing which we've not known before. We've all heard of depression, we've all heard of mental health problems. And today we are going to talk more precisely on bipolar disorder. So I'm going to get my guest speaker, Christine, to introduce herself. You're welcome once more, Christine, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Yes, my name is Christine Miloyo. I'm from Nairobi, Kenya. I'm a social worker by profession and also a mental health advocate. I'm the founder and the president of Stand Out for Mental Health, which is a mental health organization that advocates for the rights of those with mental illness through dance, art, and fashion. We create a safe space for people to share whatever it is that they are going through, and also we help in alleviating stigma and discrimination.
Thank you so much for that introduction. So we also have Geoffrey Muthike in our midst today, but he seems to be having some problems with his connection. So we carry on while waiting for him. So we carry on while waiting for Geoffrey to sort out the connection problems. So, Christine, can you just tell us a little bit about your story, your experience with bipolar, please?
Apparently for me, it did not start exactly as bipolar disorder. It started as depression. And that was in 2010 when I lost my firstborn son. And that time I was still in campus. I had a lot going through my mind at that time. The person who got me pregnant disappeared and left me in the hospital. I also had exams waiting for me. It was too much for me. I was so withdrawn, stayed in the hospital for close to 2 weeks. And when I thought everything was going well, that's when the baby passed on, which was like 3 weeks later after we left the hospital. It was too much for me and I lost hope. I became withdrawn for some time, and this took like 3 years before finally I thought everything was getting better. That is when I started becoming hyperactive, which was in 2015. Yes, I started becoming hyperactive. I became psychotic and I lost touch with reality. And that's when I was taken to the psychiatrist and I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Apparently, this disorder has really affected me in so many ways. My studies were interrupted for some time because of the condition.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Welcome back, Jeff. Can you just introduce yourself and you tell us a little bit about your story on bipolar?
Yes, I'm supposed to be saying something because I didn't get the question.
Yes, just introduce yourself and then you tell us a little bit about your story
I
with
can't, I can't, I
bipolar.
really I can't get the question. Okay,
Can you introduce yourself, please?
okay, thank, okay, thank you so much, AC. Geoffrey Muthike. Quite a number of people know me as Jeff Smart. 36 years old, living in Kenya, in Africa. Basically, quite a number of my years I've lived as a bipolar young man. Now that I'm getting old, I'll still say much of my years I've lived as a bipolar patient, whereas I didn't know much of it until the year 2016 when I was diagnosed. Yes.
Okay,
So it's been
thank you.
like 4 years now. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that introduction. So we go further into our questions. Christian,
You're welcome.
would you mind telling us exactly what bipolar disorder is? Because we have so many people watching, and I'm not sure everyone really knows the meaning of bipolar. So would you just explain to us what
Bipolar,
it is?
bipolar disorder is a mood disorder that is characterized by swinging emotions that change, whereby it's either you're too happy or too sad. Bipolar is characterized by depression, whereby you lose interest in whatever it is that you're doing, you lose appetite, you sleep too much, you neglect your hygiene, and you have low energy levels. On the other hand, we have the high side of bipolar disorder, whereby it is the manic expression of emotions, whereby you find that someone has intense energy, they talk very fast, they have impulsive thinking, and still you find them they engage in reckless behavior, and also you find that they have their spending habits, they are not so good. They can use all the money that they have to buy things that do not even matter. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that. Jeff, are you there? So, in your own words, what is bipolar disorder? Just for someone who doesn't have any idea to know about bipolar disorder, what is it exactly? Can you hear? Can you hear me?
Unmute his mic.
You could be having mood swings. Sometimes they are more extreme. We'll say like if sorry
Okay.
sorry
Carry on. Carry on.
I'm saying I'm saying this is whereby you'd have mood swings, whereby if you're happy, you're extremely happy in simple terms, and again and this changes abruptly. If you're sad, you could be too low. I mean, like you're very depressed. Sorry to use such a whatever, but it's like you're too high or too low. when people look at you, they're like, okay, something somewhere is not right, because this is not, I'll put it across as, this is not as per what we call normal. That is what I would call bipolar in simple terms.
Okay, thank you so much for that. What actually are the causes of bipolar? Christine, I know you mentioned an incident where you lost your baby. What are the other causes, or what are the things that may trigger somebody to have an attack?
So for me, the postpartum depression that underwent when I lost my baby was one of the triggering factors. However, genetics also comes into play. You need probably somebody in my lineage had the condition, which predisposed me to acquiring the condition. So what I can say, genetics is a factor that leads to one acquiring bipolar disorder. However, if you have probably an inflammation of the brain, or probably the circuitry of your brain is not working as it should, it impairs the neurotransmitters, which are the ones which are concerned emotions and thoughts.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Jeff, in your own experience, what do you think exactly caused is the cause for you being a bipolar person? I know you said you were diagnosed around 2016. Can you hear? Okay. Sorry guys, sorry for the noise and for the hitches in the background. So we are going to continue. Our other guest speaker, he's got a problem with his environment and the connection. So when everything is okay, he's going to come back onto the studio. So Christine, let's continue. Our next question is, with bipolar, you often hear words like mania, depression. How has this impacted you as an individual?
For depression, it has really affected my life negatively since I have lost so many friends. Most people probably thought that I was bewitched, especially when it reached a time hygiene was quite an issue, and I was so withdrawn. I wasn't talking to everyone. I lost so many of my friends, and also it affected my studies. I had to delay my studies for 4 good years because of the depression. One semester dragged on for 4 years since I was not able to attend all the classes, and also the exams. Most of them I wasn't able to do since I wasn't in the right frame of mind. Another thing with the mania or the hyperactivity, it led me to doing things that I ended up regretting. For instance, it reached a time when I had been given school fees while I was in fourth year to pay close to $250. So I ended up going and buying designer clothes, and I did not even pay for my school fees, which resulted in me being chased away from school. Another thing you find, I've found myself having the grandiose feelings whereby I feel like I'm a very, very important person in society. This happened in 2015, whereby I thought that I was a journalist with CNN. So it led me to feel like I'm very, very important in society, which was not the case. I had lost it all, and it led me to being taken to a psychiatric facility, whereby one night only I broke stuff worth 250 US dollars. It was really, really difficult since that was the time they were forced to take me to a mental institution.
Okay, that's quite interesting. So you made mention of feeling like you are a very important person
Yes.
in the society, or feeling like you are a journalist. What exactly did you do, or what were you doing that made you felt that way? What were the things that you were doing? because I want to believe that each and every one of us is an important person in the community. So can you explain that a little bit more?
So it happened that time when President Obama had come to the country. So I thought that I don't know what made me think that I'm related to him and his family. So I was thinking that I would like to go and present to him a poem in my pajamas. So I almost left home to go and meet him. Apparently, my parents realized because I was busy reciting the poem that I had written down. So they decided to take me and lock me up. Also, that same day, when I thought that I was a journalist, I took my laptop and started presenting news in a very very loud voice, which was really really destructive.
All right, that's very interesting. But what you were presenting, did it make sense at all? Was it really something that made sense? Sorry for laughing, but it's quite interesting. Did it make a lot of sense what you were saying, or you were just saying things at random?
I was just saying things at random actually, but I don't even know how I had knowledge of everything that was happening around the world. So it's
Okay.
like I was giving a report on the selling the good name of Kenya, the good things that are happening to Kenya. So I thought that I was presenting to the president.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh wow, thank you so much for that. At least at least we are giggling, right? It's sometimes when situations get a bit stressful, we can actually make a little fun out of it. So to
Yes.
our next question, I read somewhere which said by successful what does it mean by successful bipolar treatment starts with asking the right question? Or what does that mean exactly, if you can explain?
Asking the right questions means, what is it that I'm feeling? Which kind of medication is right for me?
Mm-hmm.
The kind of medication that has very little side effects. Like, for example, let me give you an example. The time I was admitted at the psychiatric facility, I
Mm-hmm.
was very, very violent. Therefore, they could not even know what my diagnosis was. So they used trial and error method, and the medication they gave me was really, really bad. It made me have tremors. I was suicidal, had a
Mm-hmm.
heavy tongue, and I started drooling. Let me tell you that it was like I was behaving like an autistic child. It was really, really difficult for me. Even the daily living skills that I had, all of them disappeared, and I started becoming dependent. So what I must say is that if you don't tell the psychiatric person whatever it is that you're feeling, chances are they may not be able to give you the right medication. So it begins with you being frank, telling them that I have not been able to shower maybe for the past 1 week. I have not been able to sleep for like 3 days. I'm feeling ABCDE. So that they can be able to like decide on the medication to give. Another thing, you're also supposed to be clear on the medication that you're taking and how it is taking you, so that they can be able to know whether to increase the dose, decrease the dose, or even change your medication.
Okay, that's quite helpful. When you are diagnosed, don't you are you not given an official document where wherever you go to, which hospital or any institution you go to, you have to present a list of medications which you have to be taking? What if you are in a position where you can't really communicate or you can't talk? So who will be that next person to tell maybe the psychiatrist what you are going through or what medications you are taking?
So this is the time where involuntary admission comes in. Involuntary admission is whereby your family members or your next of kin are the ones who take the responsibility of telling the doctor whatever it is that you're feeling,
Okay.
especially when you're in extreme mania or you're extremely depressed. Chances
Mhm.
are you cannot be able to like talk it out, whatever it is that you're feeling, because you find you've lost touch in reality. So that's
Mhm.
where the family can come in, and they're able to like tell the doctor ABCDE. Another thing, the records for psychiatric patients are usually very very confidential, so there is no way you can go around with documents that state the medications you're taking and also about your condition. the report is usually confidential, and they usually write it whenever you feel that you need that document so that you can be able maybe to get a job or to be exempted from paying tax. That's when they can write for you that confidential report, and it goes directly to the person who's dealing with the issue.
Wow, that's brilliant. That's really helpful. Thank you so much for that additional information there. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. You are watching live on Facebook on the Voice of Hope Media page, and also watching live from our YouTube channel, which is also the Voice of Hope Media. Your host today is MBENG, and our guest speakers today is Christine Miloyo and Geoff Muthike, all from Kenya. So Geoff had a little bit of an issue, so we are going to bring him back onto the studio, and then we continue with our show. If you are enjoying this show, if you are learning from it, share with your friends, invite your friends to watch as well. Hi, Geoff, and welcome once more. Can you hear me now? Are you okay? Geoff, can you hear? Geoff, can you hear? Guys, just be patient with us. So we have a little bit of an...
I can hear you well. Thank you so much. Sorry for that. Yeah.
That's okay. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for your patience. Yes. So I'm going to ask you these questions. With bipolar, we often hear words like mania and depression. How have that impacted you?
Yes, I can hear you well.
Okay. Do you have the questions with you? You have the number 3 question.
Yes, I can hear you well. I can hear you well.
Yes, if you have the questions with you, can you have a look at number 3? Can you hear? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm going to come back to you. Okay, Christine, we are going to continue, and then I'll try and see if Geoff is going to sort out his volume, because it seems to be having a problem. So, what are some of the emotions that come with bipolar, and how do you manage them as far as others are concerned?
So, for the emotions, as we've said before, extreme sadness, which is depression, it can last for quite a number of days, a week, or even months, depending on whether you deal with the issues that are causing you stress. So you can find also in relationships, we tend to love too much, whereby you become so vulnerable and chances of being hurt are very, very high. So with the trusting issues, you find that we tend to get into trouble, especially if when we don't question the behavior of a certain person. So you find yourself getting into a relationship whereby you don't even know a person. And also we also have the issue of hypersexuality, whereby you find that someone has an increased libido that just can't go away. So these are some of the emotions that come with mania, and also we've discussed those that come with depression. Also, you can find that with mania, one is very, very overconfident. That's an emotion that can lead to many problems, since you can find yourself going to places where you're not even needed. You're not even when you're supposed to talk, you're not supposed to talk. You talk and say very, very hurtful things, and then you find forgetfulness, whereby after a maniac episode, you find that you cannot even have a recollection of probably who you made out with, who you abused, who you talked to bad. This is a very, very big issue, especially in families. You find that we tend to wrong each and every other person. And also you find that we are more predisposed to abusing drugs and alcohol, which whereby we tend to overdo it. And this is one of the downside of the condition.
Okay, that's brilliant about that. When you talk about mania, can you just paint a picture of how it looks like when you're in a maniac situation? Uh, how does it look like? What happens exactly? Just paint a little bit of a picture for someone to be able to have a better understanding.
So for mania, it's characterized by increased levels of energy, whereby I can even feel like cleaning the entire house at 3 a.m. Also, another thing, you find that the sleeping patterns are disrupted, whereby I can go for days on end without sleeping. And you see, it's really, really sad, since you find that even the appetite goes down, you have increased energy, you do not sleep. So it reaches a time when the body feels like it wants to shut down, since it has used all the energy that it has. So that explains mania. Another thing, you find that changes in dressing. So if somebody used to dress modestly, they start dressing skimpily.
Mm-hmm.
And also, as we've said before, they can engage in risky sexual behavior, and also drugs and substance abuse.
Wow, that's brilliant. Thank you so much for that. Now, guys, this is quite an interesting topic. Yes, it's got the down side of it, and it's also got the positive side of it, as Christine once mentioned to me. So let's look at some fun facts about bipolar and some of the myths. Do you have any? I guess there are fun facts. Just the fact that you can get up at 3 a.m. and clean the entire household, or or trying to become a journalist. So tell us more, please.
So for bipolar people, let me just say that we don't care about anything. Even if I walk naked, even if, hey, I stand on top of the building and shout, we don't care. Another thing that I can say, bipolar people, we are very, very intelligent. That is a fun fact. And also, we are very, very creative. And also, for OCD, we love arranging things in a particular order. So, and the one that I really, really love, bipolar people, we are very handsome and beautiful, and we are very, very loving.
I can tell, right? I can tell. I know one of the things that attracted me to your profile on Facebook was you're constantly smiling no matter what. Even if somebody makes a negative comment on under your post, you always smile. You always smile when you are replying to that comment, which is quite good. And okay, now Jeff, I'm going to come back to you.
Okay,
If you had a look at number three, our third question is, with bipolar, you often hear words like mania and depression. How have that impacted your life as an
uh,
individual?
as an individual, yes. I remember like mania and depression. I'll remember one time as a religious brother. Those were the days I was a religious brother. One time I left I left the community, and I left and didn't tell anyone where I was headed to. And I went to a friend's place and I sat there, and he knew that I was a religious brother, but he would not ask because he saw like I was really not myself. And I stayed even for 4 good weeks without caring of what was happening, who was listening to me, or was asking where I was about. Yes, that was really depression. And sometimes mania. Sometimes I would do stuff uh, that really would make people wonder, is really okay. Like one time I got into my house, I was really tired, got to my house, and from nowhere I just sold everything, sold my house, what I had in my house, and like at 90,000, that is I guess $900. And then I was like, okay, fine, I'm tired with what I'm doing, I'm tired with everything. And that was maniac. And I just got into a bus to nowhere, and I went there, because when you're this high, you really go and use money like you don't care. Because I remember buying, everyone was in that pub, everyone was in that bar, a beer. I didn't know them, they didn't know me. But it's like I was feeling, oh, today is that day. Whereas, what have I done? I'd sold everything. Here I am just making people happy, excited, and all that. And that is one of the worst things that I've ever done that really I look back and I say, hey, it was really not a good thing.
Thank you so much for that brilliant explanation. And would you say bipolar disorder is one of those disabilities you classify under invisible disability? Because just looking at you, I cannot actually say that there's a problem with you unless you tell me. Would you say so, Jeff?
Exactly. I'll say so because, I've been, before we went on air, I would say so. I would say it's invisible because before we went on air, I was discussing the student I taught, and he was asking me, and when were you diagnosed? I said, and he was like, teacher, like teacher is mwalimu or teacher, like a teacher, an educator. It's like, teacher, and you never told us. You'd stand in front of us, teach us, continue, a lesson goes, and you never even looked like. But deep down, I knew I was going through stuff, but I couldn't let them know. Now today, quite a number of them will realize, oh, kumbe, because of what he was doing, it's because of what he was going through. But he never looked like, because even to my family, until I was diagnosed, there are some people who look at me and say, oh my God, no, you're lying. It can't be true. Yes, it is something that is invisible. But if you're keen enough, you can tell from the symptoms. At times, those people who are keen can be able to tell a few things about someone who is really going through this. Yes.
Okay, you mean if someone who is very close to you can actually pick up a few things, right? Is that what you mean? That's someone who is close to you can actually pick up a few things.
Exactly.
Right.
Someone who is close to you can be able to. Exactly. Yeah.
So Christine has talked about some of the fun facts of bipolar. Are there any myths about bipolar disorder? Jeff, I would like to start with you. What are some of those myths, some of those things that people think about bipolar which are not really true?
Yes.
Yeah. Go on. What are some of the myths? Can you hear me? What are some of the myths of bipolar disorder? Some of the things that people will say or think. The myths.
Okay. I'll look at it. People think of someone has been bewitched. This is Africa. So people look at it and like, okay, out of these, it means someone has been either bewitched. I think someone has been taking a lot of substance abuse. Could be some of these myths. Like people believe, no, this could be from this family. It was a curse or something. Those are few myths that I've come across. But again,
okay, that's brilliant. Christine, do you?
We are very intelligent people, very creative. Oh my God, handsome, beautiful. Trust me, we make friends very fast, but at the same time, we lose friends very fast.
Are those myths? Are those myths or are they facts?
They are not myths, but we believe that we really these good people. It's only that we might not be understood.
Okay. Yeah, Christine, do you have any other myths? Don't you have something like maybe it was your grandmother or your grandfather who made you that way?
There are those who will tell you that probably your parents sold your soul to the devil. That's why you're like that.
Okay.
Others will tell you that bipolar people are mad people, that since at times you can walk without clothes, they think that you're mad, and probably the next thing you'll be picking garbage from the bin. Yes, and many people think that we are demon possessed, which is not the case. Yes.
Wow.
And also probably they think that we cannot get any children. And yes, and there are people like, there's a guy who told me that bipolar people are aliens. They don't even exist in this world. So he saw me and he was like, are you even normal? We don't even have bipolar in Kenya. That's what he was saying. So it's a foreign concept altogether. And Africans and especially Kenyans, they don't believe that bipolar exists. Since it's something that they see in the movies, they believe it's something for the whites only.
Okay. Oh, unfortunately, I think after watching this show, everyone will believe that bipolar knows no color or race. It's for everyone, so it can affect anyone. Right. So let's move on to our next question. Christine, I've seen you quite a few times post about your lovely son. Is he 7 or 8? Or
He's 7, turning 8 in a few months' time.
all right, that's good. So, as a parent, I do understand the additional challenges that come with parenting. I mean, in general, parenting has its own challenges, but being someone who has extra challenges like the difficulties that come with bipolar disorder, how do you manage you being a parent? How do you take care of your son, etc.? Yeah, so I will send this question over to you. When you finish, then Jeff will take over because I do understand Jeff is also a parent. Yeah. Okay,
No?
not yet. All right. That's fine. So Christine, over to you.
Can say something.
So, for me, what I can say, it reaches a time that, you see, as people with bipolar, we are short tempered. So, with bipolar anger, it reaches a time I just feel like smashing his head on the wall, especially when he cannot even listen to what I'm saying.
Mhm.
And then I don't know whether it's a disorder or what. It reaches a time I don't even want to hear any noise, especially coming from him. Probably I'm cooking and he's coming, maybe he wants to show me a toy, and it just even him talking, I feel like he's screaming in my ears, which is really, really a challenge. Another challenge that I've had, especially with my pregnancies, the 2 pregnancies that I've had so far, since when you get pregnant, they take you off medication or they lower down the doses. Chances of getting postpartum psychosis or postpartum depression are very, very high. And this is really, really challenging, especially when you find it's postpartum psychosis, whereby you have intense energy, you're maniac, you've just had your baby, you can't even settle down, you don't even want to look at the baby. It's mixed up with postpartum depression. It's a very, very bad feeling. You don't even want to settle in one place. I've undergone that, and it's really, really challenging, since you lose even touch with how you take care of the baby, and you become dependent to those that you live for.
Okay, so when a situation occurs, you have family that takes care of your child, especially if you have to go into the hospital.
Yes.
Okay. All right. My next question, I'll be coming to you, Jeff. Since you are not yet a parent, let's look at relationships, right?
Yeah.
So, Jeff, can you tell us how being a bipolar disorder person, is it difficult falling in love? Is it difficult having a relationship? Having a relationship is one thing, and then maintaining it is another. How has it been? Tell us. We want to know. We know that you are good looking, as you said. It's one of the fun facts. Yes. So every beautiful lady or every lady out there will have eyes on you. So tell us, do you actually go for each of these ladies? Let's know.
That's nice. Let me say this. Uh, Falling in love is something so sweet and it's nice. You will fall in love. I know I'm this likable person, likable guy to the ladies, and I've had quite a number. But again, I'll start a relationship. And when you're bipolar or when you're going through a mental issue, it becomes tough to really open up because you think of, I'll say this, how will it be taken by this lady that I'm in love with? And again, because when you're falling in love, when you're starting a relationship, you really want this relationship to end into marriage. You also want to bring in some young men or young women from your family. But again, when you start talking about it, or they start seeing you taking your medication, at first, they take it, my experience, at first, I remember she took it as I was HIV positive because I would take quite a number of medication. And when I started explaining, it became something else. So, yes, we all fall in love. Like I'm this guy who I appear, and wherever I am, you'll find I'll always have that 2 or 3 ladies checking me about. But again, I feel like if I tell these ones, are they ready to really live with me? And I'll put it in quotes with my demons, because sometimes they can be demons at times, dealing with who I am really. Like I mean, by dealing with me as a person who is living with bipolar, it can be really a tall order for someone who is normal as people think of. So many a times I've been left. When I explain, I'm left. Many a times just they want just to get what I have. And at times they just say, I can't really stay with someone who is mad. So really maintaining a relationship, it requires really that understanding other person. But if really you can get that other person who is understanding, it's really hard for people like us in life, for sure.
Wow, that's quite interesting. Just this one more question to you before I go over to Christine. Have you had to tell someone just before you get into a relationship with them that you have these difficulties? Have you done that before? And what was
Yes,
the
yes,
reaction?
yeah, I remember, yes, I did. And we were sitting somewhere having coffee. And because of the myth is whereby this guy is mad. Mwenda wazimu, that's what we call them, like that we say, mwenda wazimu. This guy is mad. She just looked at me, and I think I saw her look back. And what I thought of what she was thinking is like, Jeff, for the rest of my life, with the tabs, and again with the mood swings, no. And I remember her telling me, I think we'll talk about this uh, like in a week's time. I'm still waiting for us to talk about it today.
Wow, that's interesting. And Christine, over to you. Yes, you obviously have had a love life or are having. We don't know. So have you have you been in such a situation as well where you have to tell someone that you have this extra challenge, or have you told someone when you are already in the relationship, and what was the reaction?
For me, there's a guy who we started dating when I was okay. That was in 2015. Now,
Mhm.
when I got hospitalized for 2 weeks, I wasn't on. I was offline. He couldn't reach me on. He couldn't reach me on phone. He couldn't get me on social media. He decided to start playing me. And when I disclosed to him that I have a mental condition, he took off. So another one whom I tried dating, that time I was manic, and he just couldn't believe that probably when I go to the market that I'm going to the market alone. He did not trust me at all. So it led to us breaking up.
Okay, that's interesting. And still more around relationships. You talked about insatiable sexual urges or sexual desire. How do you manage that? If you can answer.
For the sexual desire, it's been quite a challenge, especially when in 2012 I really never knew what was ailing me. So you find yourself, you are in a relationship, you just can't get enough of that guy. You find yourself, you've gone out with friends, you find yourself, you're making out with them. At the end of the day, you cannot even remember who it is that you did everything with. And also, another thing, you find that probably you get somebody who you're committed to, but just because of that sexual desire that tells you that you need to like taste each and every guy that you meet. So it has been quite a challenge for me, but ever since I started taking medication, that was in 2015, that desire has been put under control. However, for these medications, the challenge that I've had with them, some of them lead to a very, very low sexual drive. So you find that when you're dating someone, you just can't rise up to the occasion, which is quite a challenge.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you for being open. And guys, I hope you are all learning today, because I am learning. Somehow it seems as if each and every one of us has a little bit of bipolar traits in us. Is there something like that, Christine or Jeff? Do you think every other person has some traits of bipolar in them? It's a general question. Jeff, do you think so?
I'll say probably a few other stuff that I would not call bipolar. I guess like emotions or some sort of few other things, but I'll not put it as bipolar, because when you're really bipolar, it's not a joke. And I guess if all of us really were like having it, oh my dear, it really would be, I think it would be chaos every other day.
All right.
Like what she's, can you just look at it? Like I'm chasing every other girl and I'm just doing it, and I'm not attaching, like with no attachment when you're not on medication. Then you get into medication, your drive goes down. You see, it will not be like, let me put it this way. Normal people, as per what they say, would they really be at that? Because I don't think I am on medication. There are people who are not on medication, but I see them like the way I'm functioning fine, they are still functioning fine. But what are all of us who are on medication, surely? No, I don't think each and every one of us has that part of like bipolar in all of them. I think it's just emotions per se.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for that. So enough about relationships, and now we are going to look at bipolar and job hunt, job search, and maintaining a job. Have you had to disclose your condition to your prospective employer, and what was the reaction? I'll start with you, Christine.
So for me, I've had such a bad experience with especially job. I took my degree course for 8 good years. So when you get a job and you have to be candid about what you're doing for the extra 4 years, and you disclose during the interview process that I had a mental condition at this particular time, they see you as incapacitated, that you cannot even work. So most opportunities I lost during the recruitment stage, even after I passed the interview. They just couldn't give me a job because they saw that it's like I'll be more of a burden to them. So there's this time that I had gotten a job at a certain NGO. So it reached a time I was so overwhelmed. I had a lot of stress, and I happened to disclose to the boss that I'm having a mental condition and I just need to go to the psychiatrist. So he was like, Christine, this is too much for you. I really pity you. So I'm giving you a 1 month compulsory leave, and when you'll be back, that's when we can think of how we're gonna work with you. So when the leave was over, I thought that I was going back to work, only to be ejected from the WhatsApp group for the organization, and that's how I was sacked, even without a formal letter. So what I've come to learn, that disclosing your condition to an employer, it's not one of the best things, since most of them don't even understand, and they see as burdensome, incapacitated. So this is quite a challenge, and it needs to be addressed.
It definitely needs to be addressed.
Yes, let me say this.
Okay. Yeah, come on, Jeff.
I think let me say this. When it comes to jobs, recruitment and being employed as a bipolar person, I'll say don't disclose. Don't disclose that you are unwell, because one time I did that, and the next thing I was told, in the organization, which was an NG organization in the church, I was told they really can't keep me because I'm not only a burden, but like I'm a bomb almost exploding. It's like they feared. There's a lot of noise, I guess. This person just told me they can't have me and they didn't explain to me. But when I read in the letter, I saw that I wasn't, what was written down was like, he's not fit for any organization or for any work. And this is what I felt so bad because I was telling them because I was performing. And I thought they would understand because I thought I'm going to be there for long. But the moment I told the boss, it was like I am not supposed to be an employee, I mean, there. And it ended just like that. No explanation, and I was just told to go. So, I mean, I think when it comes to work, what I'll tell people is like when you know you're having a mental illness or you're not mentally well, I think it's good if you talk to the human resource and you see their understanding and all sorts of things, you can really disclose, but don't disclose really. Because the moment you disclose, like I'll look at it here in Kenya, I think it becomes people look at you as that other person, that other employee who is a burden, who is not okay, who is not well. So I don't think he or she is going to be productive in any way. So I think don't disclose because me, I've disclosed and I've lost all of it. And now I'm putting it across this way. If disclosing to a church person, a church leader, who I think has really come across such situations before and just terminates your employment just like that, what of I'm looking at these people who could be ignorant of mental stuff in the world. Will they even listen? Yes. Don't disclose.
Okay. So thank you so much for that, Jeff. I have another question about not disclosing. So is that is that the same notion you hold, Christine, by not disclosing? Before I ask the question, do you believe the same that we shouldn't disclose? Yeah,
Since
go
the
on.
moment I shared about my condition, everything changed. Even the way the boss was connecting with me, it really changed. He became withdrawn. So what I can say, stigma and discrimination is very, very prominent, especially at the workplace. So once you disclose, chances are that you might lose the opportunity, especially because they think that a person with a mental condition is a mwenda wazimu. They are mad. They cannot perform. They cannot work. So high chances are that you will lose the opportunity if you disclose.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And what about government policies? Are there no government policies in place that protects you guys, that you can actually say you have no right to sack me or to dismiss me from my job based on my condition or based on my disability? Is there nothing like that that protects employees with a disability or with with a long-term illness or condition? Do you know?
So what I can say is that the government policy states that 30% of all job opportunities should be given to persons with disabilities. Now, unfortunately, for the visible disabilities, for instance, the physically handicapped, the blind, the persons with albinism, these are disabilities that can be seen. So most of the time you find these are the ones who are given disability cards. So for you to qualify to get a disability card, you need to have a disability that is seen. So that's the challenge that we have. You find that yes, we have psychosocial disabilities, and it reaches a time we function, other times we don't function. So getting to convince them to give us a disability card, it's really, really difficult. So you find we are at the mercy of employers and their employment laws. So it really becomes difficult for you to like negotiate for psychotherapy sessions, for a flexible work schedule based on your mental health condition.
Okay, thank you so much. There's this question I meant to ask, and someone from the audience has just asked the question about if you don't disclose and happen to have a crisis at work, what happens?
So for the crisis, you find most of the time we don't have control over what will happen in the next minute.
Yeah.
So when it reaches at this time, so long as you don't cause harm to yourself, you don't cause harm to others, you can be able to take yourself to the hospital. But when it reaches a time that you start breaking things, you hurt other people, it becomes a police case, then it really becomes tricky. So therefore, it that calls for, probably if you had disclosed earlier to your employer, chances are they could have managed it in a better way.
Okay, that's brilliant. But at the same time, when you're in a crisis, do you really have control over anything? Or it depends? Does it
It
depend on?
depends with the severity of the situation.
Okay, that's brilliant.
I
Jeff, do you have
think
anything
I'll
to add? Yeah.
exactly. It depends. But again, okay, let me just say this. Christina said something very nice. But what I'm also, Christina, let me just say this. It's always good, I guess, when you get to the NGO, to the company, to wherever you're employed. I believe you have that one colleague that you exchange ideas and everything else. It's always good to get that one colleague that you can rhyme, and you see a few things to the person, just in case a crisis might occur.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So over to our next question. How is the relationship? How is your relationship with your entire family? I know sometimes some families are very supportive and sometimes some are not. Generally, what do you think is the relationship with you and your families? I will start with you, Jeff. Are you there? As far as being a bipolar person is concerned, do you get a lot of support from your family and friends around? Are
Okay,
they
thank you.
understanding and supportive?
Thank you for that. I'll put it across this way. If you are diagnosed and they understand you early enough, there will be that building of that strong support system from them. There will be that closeness. But again, if they don't understand at the beginning and they have no knowledge of what exactly is this that you're saying you're having, or maybe you've been diagnosed with, it's a bit hard. So for me, I would say it's a 50-50 thing for me. But I'm at the position where I'm trying to work it out for it to be nice. But for me, it's a bit hectic, but I believe as time goes by, it will be better. So it's a 50-50 from my family, yes. There are those who understand, there are those who don't understand. And I can't push all of them at the same time to understand. So I think with the slowness of it, with the medication, with creating that awareness, with them with me letting them know, with me letting them talk to my caregiver, talk to my psychiatrist, talk to my psychologist, at least I've been seeing some improvement. So I'll say it's a 50-50, depending on how they are aware of the bipolar really struggles. Yes.
Okay, that's good. So so they've got to be aware, and being aware it may not be enough, but being able to accept that that's the situation and being able to love the person. Christine, what about you? What do you think? Is there enough support from families and friends around you?
It's unfortunate that the greatest form of stigma and discrimination comes from the family members, because you find that most of them cannot understand why you behave the way you do. Others are having jobs, they are married, they are settled. You're just up and down, you don't even understand yourself. So most families they have that challenge. And then you find that since the parents need to love you for who you are, most of the siblings who are regular, they normally think that you're being favored, which creates a lot of strain. However, what I can say in my own experience, it reached a point that it caused a lot of friction, especially because of my behavior, and it led to my siblings. Really, we were not really getting along well. Even for my parents, they started giving up, especially when I took too long in campus. I could not get a job. Here are the kids, they need everything. And also the burden of them providing for your medication. You're dependent on them. They need to pay for the therapy. It becomes too much on the family. However, what I can say that with the psychotherapy sessions that are being offered in hospitals for the entire family, they have really helped in making the family members understand that what it is that you're going through. Fortunately for me, my family has come to accept my diagnosis, and they've been supporting me in each and every way.
Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you so much for that. So it's absolutely necessary for parents or for family members and friends to be able to understand, which in itself they also have to go through that grieving process as well, with denial, anger, and the rest, to be able to come to the stage of acceptance that this is what their child or their sister or brother is going through, and that they have to accept you the way you are. I just want to use this moment to acknowledge everyone watching. We have Bo Mike, thank you so much. Patience Ngo, we have Carol Mutiki, there is Nelima Agatos, there's Irene Wanjiku, and there's Silas, Juliet, Mechika, Edwin, Charity. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. It's been a pleasure having all of you here today. We are gradually rounding up. We're going to the last question for the day. We've been live for 1 hour, 2 minutes, and we are still watching live on Facebook and on our YouTube channel. So if you have any questions which they're burning within you, you can write them down here. Our guest speakers may be able to answer the questions later, or while we are still here, they can still answer. And if after the show you still have something to ask, you have a question to ask Christine, you have a question to ask Jeff, please feel free to contact them via Facebook, or you can equally leave a message here on the Voice of Hope Media, and I will pass it on to them. Remember that here at the Voice of Hope Media, we give a voice to those issues that most people consider sensitive, emotional, or that they are taboo topics, which you just need to put them under the carpet and never talk about them. So we empower, we educate, we inspire, we give hope to individuals facing challenging and complex life issues to be able to speak up, to speak out, knowing that they will be heard and they won't be judged or stigmatized. So the Voice of Hope Media is a safe platform, it's a safe space where you will be able to share your experience, because here we know that every experience is valuable, it's worthy, and it has the power to transform lives. And I just want to thank Christine once more and Jeff for being so honest and so open in sharing your experiences, because I know that sharing is getting healed. Sharing is being able to seek help, and also being your experience or your story will also help someone out there. So now we go to the final question for the day. I do understand that there is a lot of stigma and taboo attached to mental health issues generally. So do you have any final words of advice to those who judge or stigmatize anyone with a mental health disorder, or those who have a mental health problem? Jeff, I'll start with you first.
Look, I'll say this. In each, like in let me give like in 4 of us, or in the 5 of us, 1 of us could be suffering from mental issues. So I want to look at it and say, I'll think of, like, if you are wherever you are, just count yourself 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm giving an example. The other people, like, just count wherever you are and wherever you're watching us from. Just count 1, 2, 3, 4. Just ask yourself, among the 4 of us, could be one of us is suffering from a mental health issue. If really I am the one I'm an individual in that group, and I'm the one who really says, maybe that is mwenda wazimu, that is mad, maybe this one is just saying this and it's not true. What if I am part of? But again, what I'll just say, and I'll ask each and every one of us, really, let's not point fingers and say it's just so and so. It could be in your home, it could be in where you are in your church, it could be in where you're in the community. But again, what am I doing as an individual, okay, in creating this awareness and ending this stigma, ending this discrimination against people with mental issues? What is it that I'm doing as an individual towards these people? Yes, it might not be visible, but it's among ourselves, amongst people in a family, in the society, in our schools, in the church, in wherever we gather. But I ask, what is it as an individual? Are you part of those people who are really bringing in that stigma in your village? Let me look at it that in the African context. Are you this person who says, oh, kila kijiji ama kila soko lazima kuwe na mwenda wazimu? Are you one of those people who are just into that analogy or that philosophy? No. What exactly are you supposed, or what exactly are you doing to end the stigma against these people who are living with these mental issues? Again, to those people who are really discriminating, like, against me, people who really know very well that there's issues of such and such that happen in the society. Is it right? Is it really right? What are you doing as an individual? Surely, that is the question I'll ask, to better this person, really, rather than just to criticize the person. So let us get to understand them. Let us get to talk to them. Let us get to be a hand. Let's really be there to hold their hand. Because surely, when we come together and we say we're going to end this, trust me, in some years, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 years to come, we'll have a society that is really well versed with issues to do with mental wellness. It doesn't matter in which mental issue someone is going through. Thank you.
Yeah, you've asked quite a few questions there, whereby anyone watching will obviously do a little bit of soul searching, where they will actually ask themselves, what is it that I am doing to help other people, or to help someone with a mental health problem? And thank you so much for those questions, because they are thrown back to our communities. Those questions go back to our friends, to our families, and every other person, because I know that a mental health disorder doesn't discriminate. It can affect anyone. So, Christine, welcome back. Welcome back. So, over to you. What would you say to people, or to those individuals who stigmatize others with a mental health issue, as your final word for tonight?
What I can say that they need to understand that the mental illness club is a 24/7 club, and it is not a respecter of persons. Each and every person can be able to acquire a mental condition at any point in their life. You don't even know what tomorrow will bring. So those who stigmatize us and call us names, denying us opportunities, it could be you, it could be your brother, it could be your sister. You don't know when this disaster will strike. And also another thing that I can say, it's unfortunate that there's a lot of stigma in the church. Most people in the church often think that we are bewitched and they excommunicate us. So the church has to play a great role in bringing us together and helping us to understand that we can live normal lives if at all we are supported. And now for the government, what I could say is that a lot needs to be done as pertaining to creation of awareness on mental illness. It is sad that each and every time you find that a person has killed their family members, has killed their friends, has done bad things, the first thing that comes to mind is that probably this person has a mental condition. So most of them, you find that they've painted mental conditions in very, very bad light, which is not the case. The media also has not played its part as they should. Most of the time, they normally associate mental illness with bad things like suicidal thoughts, doing things that are out of touch with reality, which is not the case. So what I can say is that the community should come together and support people with mental health conditions, since we cannot do this on our own. It reaches a time we are dependent on others. It reaches a time we are flying up like a kite. So it's all about them understanding that we need medication to be able to survive. So what I will say that bipolar disorder is not a death sentence once you get that diagnosis. What is important is for you to accept that you need to live life productively and positively. And this you can only do if at all you go to therapy sessions, and also if you take your medication religiously.
Wow, that's brilliant. Christine, thank you so much for that. Bipolar disorder is not a death sentence. So we've got to accept, and we've got to know that we can still live a normal life even with a condition as severe as bipolar disorder. Just when we are about to round up, a question comes up which I'll bring it back to you and Jeff before we go. So I guess she says, Jeff or Christine, has any of you come across any friend who is bipolar, and how did you get on with them? Christine, any idea?
So for me, each and every day when I share my story on my timeline, I share my thoughts. Most people usually come to my inbox and tell me, imagine I have this friend who behaves like ABCDE, and you don't know what it is that's wrong with them. So probably most of the time I usually give them contact of a psychiatrist or a psychologist who can be able to like talk to them, and so that they can get medical attention. Another thing that I've come to learn in my profession as a mental health advocate, that I do not judge. Whatever it is that somebody tells me that maybe I've slept with each and every person on this street, I don't judge them, because I have been in that place. I know what it feels to be rejected. And most of the times I tend to like ask for contacts of their family members, so that they can be able to like get them care. And also I ask whatever medication that they are taking, I Google about it, and I get to advise them best on what to do.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. Jeff, what about you? Do you have anything to say?
Yes, every day you meet people, like in my inbox. I always receive texts, someone saying, oh my God, I am going through what you're going through. So what next? And then I guide them on how they can be able to get to the nearest psychiatrist. Psychiatrist, psychology, so that it can be of help. They can be helped. And again, we have groups sometimes on like Facebook and even on Twitter, whereby you'll find something and ask, what can I do? So I always refer. Again, I speak of this. Since I realize the person I am, I have gone through rejection. I have been called names. I have been homeless. I've gone through stuff. So I feel, and I would not want anyone who is going through what I have gone through really as bipolar to go through what I've gone through. So I really rush quickly to see how this person can get help. Again, I don't judge. I love. There's nothing better than just to show love, because each one of us has something they are going through. So the best thing you can ever do is just to show love, unconditional one, and never judge. Yes.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so very much. The best thing you can do to someone is to love, and unconditional love is the best, and do not judge. Yes. And also, it's using our experiences to help others out there, because we are not the only ones going through what we are going through. There's certainly someone out there who is experiencing what we have experienced before. So it's very necessary that we use our own experience to help that other person. It may be just sharing your stories together. It may be referring that person to counseling or to therapy or something else, or something that you did that helped you when you were struggling. I just want to thank you all for coming on today. This has really been a brilliant conversation. It's been an eye opener. Like I always say, make sure whenever you are watching or listening to any topic being discussed on this show, make sure you learn, and you also unlearn what you thought you knew about that particular topic. And I'm pretty sure that something has happened today. At least one life has been touched out there. At least a mentality has been changed out there. And I know there's someone out there smiling that, yes, I can actually start to understand or start to accept this person who has bipolar disorder, or this person who has a form of a mental issue. Because, like you guys have all said, a mental disorder has no boundaries. It knows no race. It doesn't discriminate because it can affect anybody. You cannot say never, because tomorrow may be your turn. Maybe not you as an individual. It can be a family member. It can be your child. It can be your husband. It can be your wife. It can be anybody. So what do we do? Just be kind and loving. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. And you've been on the Voice of Hope Media. And today we've given a voice to bipolar disorder with our precious guest speakers, Jeff, MC, and Christine Miloyo. It's been a pleasure really talking to you. I felt like this is face to face. I believe someday we will meet in Kenya. I've been there before, so I'll come there again. Thank you so much, guys, and have a nice weekend. And stay tuned for our next edition next Saturday. So bye for now.
Okay, bye. Thank you.